Hi, everybody. It's Linda G here with Arlene.
Hello.
And we are here with Beacons of Balance, our new little podcast that we're just starting off, baby steps. Anything we can do to help with the collective higher consciousness of mankind, which also helps promote peace and love and maybe some ecological healing for the earth.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And Beacons of Balance is to balance us. That this world, we're in a world of duality. Right, left, up, down, black, white. It's always going to be that. And when we're out like this, either way, that's when we're off. So these episodes, and this has been a month, we're wrapping it up for the entire month now. It's been on energy and our different energies where we hold it. First was our physical, our emotional, our mental, and we're ending with one that I really love is our spiritual, because Linda is a medium. And as we said before, we are actually all spirits.
Right. That's how I met you, was from my work, correct?
Exactly. We're in this brief moment of time in this shell that we call the body. And, we'll have an episode down the road also probably about aliens and that. And, we're alien. We're not from here. We're from elsewhere. We're from the cosmos, from out there.
Right. But there's other universes and other, we some of us come here from different planets. It's really interesting, the things I've learned.
This is another topic we could talk about.
Another show.
Multidimensional beings and multidimensional realms and how we live in different universes. Exactly. So that's why maybe we wake up sometimes so tired because we astral travel at night.
I think so too.
Did you ever wake up with a bruise, like on your arm or leg, and you didn't do anything? And it's like, where the heck did I get this from? When I go to sleep at night too, I told you about I put an energy wave so I don't tap into my husband's energy field and he doesn't tap into mine. And I also, many nights when I, say my prayers, I'll ask to stay in this area, in this realm, and have the angels work and heal on me while I'm sleeping, and not astral travel and go off and do things because I'm too tired.
Yeah, well, in the 1980s, all of a sudden, as I'm like dozing, starting to go to sleep, I would start to vibrate like somebody plugged me in, and the bed was like an earthquake, but there was no earthquake. And I would pop out of my body and go up through the ceiling over the house.
Oh my God.
And I could, Shirley MacLaine went through this too. And I could feel the cold air when I went outside. So I was astro traveling. It was so profound, but do
you still do that?
No, listen, it happened several times, but I wasn't evolved then. I was still who I was before. And I asked them, please, I don't want to do that again. And they stopped.
Oh yeah, if you ask to stop, they'll stop.
I don't think I want to. It was scary.
Yeah. Well, you were scared then. You wouldn't be now.
I don't know. But then I was selfish. I'd say, take me to one of the guys I had a crush on, one of my menses.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. But really? It's not good to spy.
It was really sobering. We think we are this big this little blue marble that we are. If you listen to Carl Sagan, who's now crossed over, he's in spirit, and he was
something, huh? I love that movie Contact.
Carl Sagan.
Yeah, he was the one that did
But if you look him up, and he narrates about this little blue thing called Earth, but he calls it a little blue marble. I recommend Googling and watching that on YouTube. That'll shake you in your boots and it'll bring tears to your eyes. And it's very, very profound. And it really makes you realize who and what we are. So this is our 4th episode about our energy area. And this time we're talking about our spiritual energy. And it's the force of our energy is the spiritual. The spirit energy, also known as soul, it's known as our soul energy.
Right.
This is the most subtle type of energy, and it has a close affiliation with your emotions. It can be translated in many different ways, such as your mind, your spirit, your consciousness, your vitality, your expression, and your soul energy. Various types of spiritual energy exist, such as, if you've heard of your prana, which is Sanskrit. And for those of you, if you don't know what Sanskrit is, it's an ancient language. It was the Indonesian Aryan language from South Asia. That's what Sanskrit is. So it's ancient, ancient, ancient language. Okay. And that's what Sanskrit is. The prana, in that which it is your life force. It's your life force what goes. Your chi, they call it chi, your mana, Reiki, the kundalini, the divine light, the universal energy. It's what runs through us. And there's a thing, of course, called chakras, which is another Sanskrit word, and it's a spinning wheel of energy. So people that do, and I do healing work, you touch with people's, you see where their chakras, that's another thing about being in balance. Are you in balance or are you out of whack? You could have your wheel and it could be like this, or it's totally shut down, it's blocked, and I'm sure, being a medium, people that you've read for, if people are like this and they sit with you for a reading, or people, if they're listening, they can't.
Oh, that's happened to me.
I have my arms crossed in front of me. If they're, blocked, they just block you. They don't want you to get in to read them.
Those tend to be my better reads. The ones who block themselves. I take it as a challenge. Yeah.
Oh, because I know there's some people that can't. You've been able to read everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was a big guy with all kinds of tats on him, and he was like this, and he came in and he sat down and he said, my neighbor told me to come to you, but I just want you to know I don't believe in any of this. And he had arms like this. I said, okay, honey, well, we'll just try it. And if you don't like it, and I said, but who was that little woman in soul energy following you? And he started crying and he put his hands in his face. And Carol, the one who runs the store, come running in. Is everything okay? I said, oh, yeah. He said, that's my mama. And then I said, who's the tall, lean guy? Daddy. Daddy. And he said, he was like this, and he looks up and he said, ask him where the money is.
Isn't that right? See, here we go. So spiritual energy of force defies measurement, thus are distinguished from scientific forms of energies. You can't, it's subtle. It's what it is. You can't measure. It's a mystery, right? Some people refer to spiritual energy as a vibration. You were talking about vibrating, that things you could feel, all of this around us, things that we think are solid mass.
It's all
there's
energy.
A level of everything you could go right through it. It vibrates. It's vibrational. That's like that movie Matrix. Remember, that's what it's all vibration.
And when you talk about vibration too, that's when I was saying early on the earlier show, that which is likened to itself is drawn. You are if you're not a vibrational match to what you want, you can't create it. It's very interesting. You can become a vibrational match with work, but if it's not in your, like I said, if you're always broke, if you come from a family of always being stretched, you'll notice how you can't seem to create abundance. But if you get out of that and you tell the universe, look, and you thank them before it even gets there and think, I really know I'm supposed to be doing something that would create abundance, not only in the spiritual vibrational form, but in a monetary form, and watch what happens.
It's right, when we get out of our own way. That's a form, we'll talk about it, prayer. Some people don't believe in it, whatever, but asking, people do, they pray or they ask, right? And release it, and you're supposed to turn it over. But what do? We take it back. We send it out and then we take it back. Or we'll ask, say, even for monetarily or whatever, or you want to go somewhere, you want to move or whatever. And you'll say, I'm asking for this. This is what, thank you, whatever. But then you take it and go, oh, it happens for everybody else and not for me. Well, guess what, folks? You just negated it. You had the plus and you just wiped it out.
Before this happened to me, like my show and everything I do, I used to tell people before I got awakened, I used to tell people, think of God or the other side as a master computer. And when you put out to plug into that computer, you can't keep changing your mind because it'll you will
It'll
not get,
short circuit the
you
energy.
got to put it in and leave it there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So our spiritual energy is stored in our chakras, which I talked about before. And
Yes.
Sanskrit means it's a spinning wheel, and we have 7 major ones, but there's many others that we have also that come off of our hands. Actually, there's another thing I'm certified in, is called the reconnection. And you know what? When I was learning it from Eric, and I can't think of his last name now, he had, he'd have a client on the table lying down, and he just had his hands behind his back, and he went just with his eyes, and he walked around and energetically just with the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul, so it's very powerful.
Right.
There is, healer. He's from Croatia. His name is Braco, Braco. I'm sure some people, listeners out there, have heard of him, or maybe not, but you can look him up. He doesn't charge anything. He goes out, it's 7-minute sessions at a time. You do it through YouTube and he connects through his eyes with people. And there have been really miraculous things that have happened. A lot of celebrities have gone to him also.
Wow.
Yeah. The one that was on Friends, the one that was married.
Jennifer Aniston?
No, not Jennifer. No, she wasn't one of the major ones. She was married. I forget who she was. She was married to the tall, lanky guy. She had the long blonde hair. I can't think of her name.
Oh, yeah.
She used to sponsor him when he came to the States. How do you know if you have spiritual energy? Spirituality awakens in a person when they attain a certain peace of mind. They become one with their body, mind, and spirit when nothing scares or attracts them, or when they don't get easily shamed. No, not shamed. When they don't get easily swayed away by human emotions. That's when a person attains spirituality. The spiritual state of mind can be very relaxing. And spiritual alignment, spiritual people are not bogged down with expectations, assumptions, hate, resentment, extreme desire or attachment of things and people. They understand the nature of impermanence, including their own, as everything and everyone around are in constant change. And you know what
Amen.
Impermanence is. Buddha, Thich Nhat Hanh would speak about impermanence a lot. And that means we're not this.
No.
We own nothing. We're not. Hey, folks, we come in here. How do we come in? Butt naked.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave butt naked. You come in with zippity doo-dah, except your skill set, what you come in with, your vibration. And you're going to leave with the same thing. You're not going to leave with stuff.
Well, that's what was so hard for my Comanches and all indigenous tribes. They didn't understand the thing with owning. They didn't get that because they lived on the lands. They thought the great warriors and gods had given them this. They hunted a buffalo here and there to sustain the family. They didn't overkill. And these white men come in and it's just like, it's all about owning. They didn't understand that.
It's really when you come to terms with that and you understand it, that, and we have no control, folks. No, free yourselves up. It's taken me a long time. And although I tell my husband this, I said, I don't have control. And he laughs. He goes, are you kidding me? He goes, talk about that on your podcast. You have no control. I'm trying to be aware of it, let go of it, because we really don't. We can't even control ourselves. How do we think we're going to control something else? We can't even do us.
Right. Well, my daughter has lung disease, and one day I found out she got COVID, and I prayed so hard that she'd be okay. I got so overwhelmed, upset. And while I was in the midst of this heartache, the man that talks to me in my ear said, what are you doing? Practice what you preach. And I was like, whoa, so what do I preach? Well, I preach there is no death. There's only the vibrational alive. Actually, when we just take this body off, we're much happier. And then I started thinking, what's the worst thing that can happen to her? Well, she dies. But actually, that wouldn't be, it's not that I was wishing she would die. I'm just saying she'll still be okay. So it gave me a comfort. I know that sounds really weird, that I allowed universe to do what they needed to do. Just like when I was begging for my life and he said, what are you doing? There's no such thing as death. And I felt embarrassed.
And that goes back to, when we truly have our faith, whatever faith, and I'm not into religions, because to religions, to me, there's spirituality, you could be spiritual and be religious, or vice versa, or whatever, but religions are more about dogma, and it's about the rules,
And telling you
regulations,
what
and
to
it's
do.
about this. It boils down to this. Barbara Walters interviewed Patrick Swayze, and I'll never forget this. You guys could look it up. It was like a long, long time. Well, of course, they're both in spirit, but I think he followed Buddhism, or he was a Buddhist, or followed kind of the principles. And he said to her, because she was asking him a question about religion, he said, at the core, every religion known to mankind has truth there. And what happens? They take that truth and then they go for this.
Yeah.
It becomes the money and the
Oh,
rule,
even the Catholic Church.
And the control, the rule and the control.
Because remember, priests used to be able to get married.
Well, you know why they stopped that?
They changed it because they couldn't keep their property.
No, the reason why, there was no birth control, so they had a multitude of children, and who had to support all those children was the church.
Well, so I also heard this because they wanted that whatever properties they had.
It could be, yeah. That was the whole thing also, because I remember, because I was indoctrinated with Catholicism, and we, during different periods, especially Lent, you couldn't eat meat on Friday. You had to eat fish.
What was that? Oh, I'll tell you why that was. I heard it on a radio show traveling. It was because they weren't getting any tithing from the fishing things in Italy.
The fishing industry.
So they said fish on Friday, just so they.
And I know someone whose son went over to Italy, to Rome, and it was during the Lent period, and his friend was having a burger, and he goes, "Oh no, we can't have that. You can't have that during Lent." And they looked at him, and he was Italian, right there in Rome. He goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "We don't do that." He goes, "You can have that." It's just like with Jewish people doing the whole, and I know it's traditional or whatever, but they can't eat bacon. And you can't. Well, you know what that was from? That was eons ago, and that made sense, because could you imagine being out in the desert or whatever in the heat, and you had pork and you had dairy? They probably died.
Yeah.
So they probably said, "Okay, let's cut this out." And that's where that's all that. So here I'm going to interject a joke. So this woman was making a roast, right, for her family, and she cut off the end of it and threw it out, right? She threw it out. And then her husband said to her, "How come you cut the end off of that roast and you throw it out?" And so she said, "Well, my mother used to do that, and I watched my mother." And then she talked to her mother. "Well, your grandmother used to do that." I talked to the grandmother. They said, "Why'd you do that?" She goes, "Oh, because it wouldn't fit in the pot."
That sounds reasonable. My parents were both atheists. My mother was raised in a Native American Catholic orphanage, and she hated the church after that. But yet at 8 years old, I went out of my body and had a visit with the master, Jesus of Nazareth. It was quite interesting. I was only 8.
There are many masters that have roamed and have been called different things.
Oh yeah, there's more than
right?
ascended masters is what they call them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they say, what's that term they say also? You won't find an atheist in a foxhole, right? When war's going on and you're being shot at, you cry out to a greater good, or you say something, right? And that brings back to another story. One of my ex's family, they were Jewish, and the grandfather happened to end up in a Catholic hospital when he was transitioning or whatever, and above his head was a cross, because it was a Catholic hospital. And the grandson came in and said, "Oh, Pops, you want me? I'll take that down." And he goes, "Nope." He goes, "Don't take it down." He said, "I'll take it from wherever it comes from."
Wherever it comes from.
Don't take it down. Don't take it down. So energy is an integral part of the universe, just like matter and space. It does not disappear, only changes from one form to another. Energy just keeps going on and on. It just changes. Our form as beings, when we cross over, we just change. We don't dissolve, I don't think so. I think we lose this matter, this body, but we continue on. And in fact, there's a thing, and I don't know if you know this being a nurse, but they said the weight of a soul. They said when someone dies, they weigh them before, as they're going. So there's a body weight to it. And once they leave the body, and they've measured it as 21 grams or 0.75 ounces.
That disappeared?
They relate that to the soul. But of course, there's controversy about that. Who knows if it's true or not? I like to believe it is.
Right.
Right?
Well, I've seen light form come out of bodies at death, so something's there.
Well, I had that awakening with my when my mother-in-law passed away, and I saw it. That's in my book that's coming. Who knows? I've been writing it for 30 years. So don't worry, I'll do it before I leave here, hopefully. So 3 ways to master your energy in closing is to be aware of your intention. Where you focus your intention, energy goes. What you focus on, your energy is going to it. Be it bad, what you consider bad, good, or in between. Or, as I say, what you feed breeds. Okay?
Exactly.
So you want good things? Feed good things. Get rid of the other stuff. And my husband always tells me, it's like every day, stop that stinking thinking. Stop that. He goes, that was from Zig Ziglar. And Ziglar was a motivational speaker, you know. Stop that. That's a good one, though. Stop that stinking thinking. He'll be happy I mentioned him. Be aware of your patterns, your paradigm. The subconscious mind is insidious in a subtle way with harmful effects. Make peace with your past. There's nothing that changes energy faster than letting go of your past. And as you said, forgiving.
Don't you think this stuff should be taught in elementary school?
Oh my God, so many things should be taught there if it started.
To teach them how to be strong within themselves and how to focus on what they want.
Balance. So to balance our spirituality, this is the last one. Release attachment from anything, attachment expectations from people and things. Remember impermanence. Why am I stumbling on that word? Impermanence, which means a limited amount of time. Everything is always changing, including us. And as always, remember to love, starting with ourselves. Right? So
very good, my friend. Very good. This is some good stuff.
We think we're good.
And maybe we should gather up, the teachers should gather up and speak at schools, even junior highs, in the cafeteria. Any kid that wants to come and listen to what you can do, you know, and get some of the great books written by some of the great masters.
Yeah, well, that's other episodes too. We'll talk about that, like, you know, bullying and or what you could do. And
then we'll also talk about room service.
I like that.
My friend invited me to come camping with him and his wife. He says, you know, my wife and I are thinking about going camping.
Camping? What do you mean?
Camping. I said to him, if it doesn't involve room service, I ain't going.
Yeah, no, you want glamping, like Oprah would say, glamping. Mm-hmm.
So all right. So remember to be the change you want to see. Exactly. And from our hearts to your hearts, always in balance, love, peace, wishing you inner peace. Remember to subscribe, listen, hear, see us, write in, tell us what you like, what you didn't like, and topics you'd like to hear about in the future. And we love all of you. We love Heartburst. Yes. Love you, honey. Thank you. Take care. This was it. And we'll be on our next topics, which we don't know what that'll be yet. But in December. Yeah. Okay. Love you. Okay. Love you. December. Bye-bye.